Speaking Up for Speaking Rain by Carrie, an American girl in Mexico. Made by an adult for other adults. Be kind in the comments. We talk about ideas, not people. Hi, this is Carrie. Today we're going to talk about Speaking Rain. Kaya never got a best friend or sister doll like several of the other historical characters did, although in her books she clearly has one, and that is Speaking Rain, who is both her little sister and her best friend. So, Speaking Rain and Kaya's moms were cousins and they were raising their babies together. Infection caused Speaking Rain to lose the sight in her eyes, so Speaking Rain is blind. She is a little younger than Kaya. Kaya's mom describes her as just beginning to talk when she came to live with them, and that Kaya was already talking. So even though they were babies together, there is a little difference in their ages. Speaking Rain's father was gored by a buffalo while hunting, and he died from that accident. And then later on, Speaking Rain's mom died, and this is when Speaking Rain came and became part of Kaya's family, a sister to her and a daughter to her parents. Speaking Rain very much is treated like a responsibility to Kaya and her family in the first couple of books. Kaya is asked to mind her, and even though she does do some productive work, I think that she very much is viewed as a responsibility. Speaking Rain is very much a listener and is empathic. She's attuned to the emotions of the people around her, which makes her a very good counter to Kaya's impulsive self-centeredness. And I don't say that about Kaya in a mean way. It is sort of the center of Kaya's personal development in her series of books. The thing she has to overcome is thinking first and foremost of herself. So in the first book, when Kaya is asked to watch her young twin brothers and take Speaking Rain along with her, Kaya decides she's going to run off and race her horse and leave the boys with Speaking Rain. Speaking Rain cautions her against this. She says, they're 3-year-old boys. They like to play tricks on me. But Kaya ignores her and goes off. So, of course, 3-year-old boys do what 3-year-old boys do, and they run off and climb up and hide in a tree. So by the time Kaya comes back, she finds Speaking Rain looking for and calling the boys who are not answering her. Speaking Rain tells Kaya they should go get help. Kaya says no, and they go off to try to find the boys. Luckily, an aunt saw what was going on and came and assisted. But again, it's just another example of Kaya thinking about herself and not wanting to get in trouble, when in fact her behavior just makes things worse instead of better. So because Kaya disobeyed about watching the boys, because she didn't listen to Speaking Rain's caution, because she disobeyed about racing her horse and then tried to hide the truth when the boys went missing, she earns a switching. And in her culture, all the children of a certain age get punished when one child gets punished. So she earns a switching for all the children and is given the nickname Magpie, which is a selfish bird who thinks only of herself, by some of the other boys in her people group. So she doesn't like this nickname, but it is a fitting nickname and one that she will strive to overcome as we follow her story the rest of the way through. Kaya vows to do better, but when intruders invade the camp at night and she is told to take Speaking Rain and hide in the woods, she instead leads Speaking Rain to the horses because Kaya is thinking about her horse Steps High. And because of this, Kaya and Speaking Rain are kidnapped along with several horses by a group from further west, and they never really identify who that people group is that captures Kaya, Speaking Rain, and the horses. As winter approaches, Speaking Rain urges Kaya to escape before their captors take them deeper into the mountains. So Kaya and a Salish boy, Two Hawks, escape. And when they are able to reunite Two Hawks with his people, the Salish promise to watch out, look for Speaking Rain and the horse, and trade for her if they find her. So Speaking Rain's meat outfit is the first one I made. I did find a pattern online. It wasn't very good. It didn't have the slant in the shoulders that really is needed to fit right. So I ended up cutting a pattern from Kaya's meat dress. And then I took apart a shoe from Kaya's trading outfit to make the shoe pattern. The moccasin ties I made by braiding red waxed linen thread, and I made them quite long so they could just wrap around the ankle several times and tie. I wasn't able to get micro suede in the right color, so this felt was available. So here we are. Speaking Rain's meat dress is made out of felt. Now the clamshell necklace she is wearing technically shouldn't be part of her meat outfit. She's described as having this necklace when Kaya finds her after returned to them by Two Hawks people. But it looks great with this outfit, and on her other outfits it actually looks quite busy. So, but the clamshell necklace is mentioned as something that Speaking Rain has when she is returned to Kaya and her people. I also included her doll with her here because her doll and Kaya's dog Tatlo are critical parts of the story and play a role in Kaya and Speaking Rain being reunited. So, Speaking Rain's captors use her to watch babies. She sings to them, but they truly don't think that she has a lot of value. So as winter comes, one morning she finds her way to the river to try to get cleaned up a little bit, and when she returns, the camp is gone. So they have left her there, whether on purpose or not. She doesn't know when she's recounting the story to Kaya, but of course we all suspect it was on purpose. She finds some partial shelter near a river, but she has no food and no real way to get it. She tries to eat grass and it makes her sick. And so she realizes that she's going to die. And she says that she tries to make her spirit strong as she accepts that she is going to die from the cold and starvation. So at some point, as she's going in and out of delirium here near the river, she hears footsteps and she moans. And she is heard by White Braids, who is an old Salish woman who has come to the river with a small group of travelers, and she's gathering driftwood for a fire. When White Braids was a young woman, she had a daughter who died, and so she just embraces Speaking Rain as a second daughter and nurses her back to health. She sees her as a gift. And we see evidence of that in how she is treated and how she looks when she's reunited with Kaya and her family. So when spring trading season comes, Kaya can't wait to find Two Hawks to see if he has any word about Speaking Rain. And so she takes her dog and they get to the other side of the river and they are looking for Two Hawks. And he, of course, has taken a canoe and gone to her side of the river, so they don't find each other. But Tatlo takes off and doesn't come back when Kaya calls him. So she follows him and he leads her to Speaking Rain. And he has found her because Kaya had Speaking Rain's doll, and Tatlo recognizes the scent of Speaking Rain from the doll, and so they are reunited. And I want to just read from the book this moment where Kaya and Speaking Rain are reunited. Speaking Rain clutched her doll to her chest, her smile shining like sun on the water. "Katsi Yao Yao," she said softly, "I prayed for you every day." "And I prayed for you," Kaya said. As she spoke, she looked closely at her sister. When Kaya had last seen her, Speaking Rain had been thin and frail and dirty. Now she wore a fine buckskin dress decorated with many beads and elk's teeth. Her cheeks were round, and her glossy hair was sleekly braided and tied with abalone shell ties. She wore a pretty necklace of white clamshell beads. "Two Hawks people have been good to you, haven't they?" Kaya said. "Ah, hey, they've been very good to me," Speaking Rain said. So Speaking Rain has become a valued member of White Braid's family, who relies on her in a way Kaya's family simply didn't. Okay? Speaking Rain makes fine hemp cord that White Braids can trade for things they need. Speaking Rain sleeps by her side to warm her and rubs her shoulders when they ache. Speaking Rain was very much seen as a responsibility in Kaya's family, but she is an asset to White Braid in White Braid's family. She is needed. White Braids nursed Speaking Rain back to health over the winter, and when digging season came, she was able to travel to the root fields with them, and that is where Two Hawks and his family found them and brought her and White Braids to meet up with Kaya's people. Speaking Rain sobers when Kaya starts chattering about having her with them again. "I have so much to tell you," she says. So Kaya panics when she learns that Speaking Rain has vowed to stay with White Braids forever. Brown Deer is preparing to marry Cut Cheek, and she's going to leave. And now Speaking Rain says she's not coming back either. And Kaya is afraid that she has lost both of her sisters at once. And of course, it's all about Kaya. So the second outfit that I made for Speaking Rain is the dress that she is wearing when she returns to Kaya and her family. As I read you from the book, it's described as being decorated with beads and elk's teeth. I used small shells that I purchased in Veracruz. And as I drilled out the shells so I could thread through them and attach them to the dress, about 1 in 5 just disintegrated in my hands. And I thought about the amount of time White Braids must have spent drilling out elk's teeth to decorate this dress for Speaking Rain. And I thought about how much love she poured into creating this fine dress for her new daughter. White Braids discovered Speaking Rain's talent for making cord, and her waist cord on this dress is a nod to that. Her moccasins are soft and comfortable. In the book, she's described as having that pretty necklace of clamshell beads, which I showed you when I showed you the meat outfit. Her cheeks are full and her braids are sleek. She isn't just loved, she is adored. And vows are taken seriously by both of these people groups, the Salish and the Nez Perce Indian group. So Kaya is distraught. White Braids is also troubled by Speaking Rain's vow because even though she loves her, White Braids knows what it feels like to lose a daughter, and she had no intention of stealing a daughter from Kaya's family. She can't imagine taking a daughter away from another mother. So Kaya discusses her torn heart with her grandma and with her sister, and she comes up with an idea. Maybe there's a way for Speaking Rain to keep her vow. and be part of both families. Maybe she could spend the summer with Kaya and her family and return to live with and help White Braids in the winter months. So after some discussion between the families, Speaking Rain considers this and accepts this proposal. So that is what they settle on. And she is just such a young woman of strength and character. And even though she is younger than Kaya, I think in these stories we can just see how much quicker she has matured than Kaya has. Their experiences have both been hard, but Speaking Rain's heart started in a different place. And Kaya is definitely on track to become a fine woman too, but Speaking Rain is definitely ahead of her on the maturity curve. Speaking Rain's fancy outfit. So Speaking Rain's white return outfit is lovely, but it is what she is wearing for her everyday use when Kaya and her family find her. This made me wonder, if her everyday outfit is this lovely, what would her best outfit look like? I experimented by making this a two-piece outfit, but I didn't really like it on her and the way the top cape part rode up, so I ended up tacking the cape down in the end. I modified the shoe pattern so the flaps overlap on both sides instead of just one, and made the tongue integral to the toe cap. This dress is decorated with snail shells, black linen cord, and red beads. The red tube beads would either have been quills or coral, and both of which would have had to have been traded for. Speaking Rain's hair ties are wood, and I decorated them with the red tube beads, which I just glued on. At the end of Kaya's last book, everyone is getting ready to attend Cut Cheek and Brown Deer's wedding, and Speaking Rain is ready in her fancy outfit. I thought I was done with Speaking Rain's outfits and video, and then Canva, that I used to do my editing, decided it wouldn't upload anything for about 3 days. So I went ahead and made her winter accessories. I envision this as buffalo hide, so I made her cloak with the hairy side out, and you can see I just used a stick closure. I made that from a cuticle stick. And then for her hood, I put the hair side in and the skin side out. And I just cut raw strips here and made the tassels out of the same fabric. Her gloves, I put the hair side in. There's a little cuff there. And I just finished her shoes, which I made both ways. So on her feet, the hair side is next to her feet, and then on the top part, I turned it the other way. I think the side with the hair is probably the best protection against the snow and ice. And that's just a plain cord that I made her tie from. And it's about 24 inches, 12 inches on either side. And I sewed the little loop here in the center. So there we have Speaking Rain's winter accessories. Let me see. Here's a close-up of the winter accessories. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.